Your house is your safe zone where no one is allowed to invade without an invitation. But what if bears are knocking on your front door just for some honey, or a wolf is coming to you for lunch? You need a kitchen gun, also known as a home defense shotgun. If you live with tight hallways, tight corners, and even tighter timelines, these small blasters bring big stopping power where it counts. I'm walking you through 10 proven picks, each with its own personality. From bullpup pumps with dual tubes to semi-autos that feed from box magazines, from bird's head grips that tame leverage to energy-absorbing internals that make hot loads feel a little friendlier. I'm not here to rattle off specs for the sake of specs. I'm here to connect design choices to real-world tasks like working a stair landing, anchoring a bedroom doorway, or slicing the pie into a kitchen. By the end, you'll know which features matter for your setup, which loads to keep handy, and how to think about workflow under pressure. Hit subscribe, grab some coffee, and let's get you set up to hold the line at home. One Mossberg 590S Shockwave. Mini shells change the hallway workflow I'm opening with the 590S Shockwave because its internal redesign flips the script on capacity and control inside a house. Mossberg reworked the elevator and bolt slide and added an energy-absorbing bumper, letting the gun run 1.75, 2.75, and 3-inch shells together without a special adapter. That unlocks a simple tactic. Stage mini shells for tight control and higher onboard count. Then keep a couple of full-power 00 buck in the sequence for a decisive end to the problem. The classic Mossberg bones are all here. Dual extractors, twin action bars, steel-to-steel lockup, and a tang safety that's clean for either hand. The bird's head grip keeps the wrist angle neutral, so the muzzle doesn't climb as much when you run it fast. In a real hallway, lighten the support hand and Shockwave braced at chest level. You can manage recoil, pump decisively, and let the mini shells do the control work while the buckshot stands by. If your home has narrow lanes, this is a smart way to buy capacity and keep the gun short, handy, and mean. 2. Remington 870 TAC 14 legal length with steel frame feel. The TAC 14 lives in that clever legal space where a 14-inch barrel and an overall length just over 26 inches keep it outside NFA territory. But it still feels like a classic 870 where it matters. The steel receiver soaks up abuse, and the action has that familiar glass-on-glass pump when you short stroke with intent. The Raptor bird's head grip sets your wrist at a friendlier angle, and the Magpul M-Lock forend lets you put a light exactly where your thumb will find it at midnight. Run it from chest level, press the gun forward into your line, and track that simple bead sight through door frames without flagging the ceiling. In stairwells and cramped bedrooms, the TAC 14's compact geometry makes it easy to drive the muzzle while your feet move in and out of cover. Capacity isn't wild, but the trait is mechanical predictability under stress. If you want the 870 soul with modern ergonomics for close spaces, this is where the conversation starts. And it ends with a grin after your first smooth rack and eject. 3 Kel-Tec KSG. Dual tubes for on-demand ammo choices. The KSG is the bullpup that turned heads by packing a full-length 18.5-inch barrel into a gun that stays around 26 inches overall. That barrel length keeps velocity and pattern performance. While the dual magazine tubes give you a manual ammo selector, it's not about carrying more for the sake of more. It's about carrying 2 answers at once. Keep buckshot in one tube and slugs in the other. Then flick the selector when the problem changes. The KSG loads from the bottom and kicks shells out the bottom, keeping it effectively ambidextrous and less likely to bump casing into walls when you're close to cover. The pump throw is short, so practice running it decisively until the cycle feels like one straight line. Forward to stabilize, back to feed. In a home, the center of gravity sits right by your firing hand, making it surprisingly steady through corners. Add a modest light and a simple sight, and you've got a compact fight gun that's quietly clever, letting your brain pick the payload instead of the calendar picking your luck. 4 Kel-Tec KS7 Gen 2, minimalist weight, maximal sighting speed. If you like the bullpup footprint but prefer a single tube, single task approach, the KS7 Gen 2 is a sweet spot. You're looking at a gun that hovers around 6 to 7 pounds, stays just over 26 inches, and carries 7 rounds of 2 3/4 inch or 6 rounds of 3 inch, depending on how you load it. The signature feature is that triangular fiber optic sight built into the carry handle, which pops into your vision like a traffic cone at 5 to 10 meters. Gen 2 adds a more flexible mounting area on the forend, so adding a vertical grip or light is straightforward. The single tube keeps your process honest. Pump, press, verify, with fewer opportunities to confuse a selector under adrenaline. In the dark of a bedroom, the KS7 rewards simple fundamentals. Index the triangle, press straight back, cycle cleanly, and recheck the mouth of the tube by eye. If you want light, fast, and no-nonsense handling. This little rig is a practical teacher. 5 Smith & Wesson M&P 12 heavy on capacity, light on compromise. The M&P 12 takes the dual-tube bullpup concept and leans hard into staying power. With 14 plus 1 on 2 and 3/4-inch shells or 12 plus 1 on 3-inch. You're front-loading the fight, buying time to call, move, and secure without scrambling a reload mid-problem. Yes, it's heavier at about 8.3 pounds, but that weight works in your favor. Tamping recoil and keeping the muzzle calm during rapid presses. Controls are ambidextrous and AR-inspired, with a top rail for optics, M-L-Lock for accessory placement, and a loaded chamber indicator that gives you a quick read on status. The tube selector is deliberate, which is what you want when the house is loud and your heart is louder. Stage it in a bedroom roll with a white light and a simple 1x optic. Then practice posting at the door frame, leaning out just enough to see, and working clean strings while the gun does the heavy lifting. If your priority is more shots before any reload, the M&P 12 is an unapologetic solution. 6 Rock Island Armory, VRF-14 AR-style semi-auto for speed thinkers. If your hands live on carbines and your brain speaks AR fluently, the VRF-14 is the translation layer into 12 gauge. It's a semi-auto with a 14-inch barrel and an overall length that stays around 26 inches, and it feeds from detachable box magazines. The upper provides a full-length rail for a dot and a light, and the charging handle rides the carrier, so you feel the machine working cycle by cycle. Run low recoil buck to start. Find your rhythm on the trigger, and treat your reloads like you would on a rifle. Strip mag, seat mag, run the bolt, back on target. This isn't a skeet gun. It's a room distance tool for people who think in transitions and split times, trading pump mechanics for gas-driven pace. Keep your stance honest and your cheek pressure consistent, and the VRF-14 rewards you with quick doubles that stay in the A-zone of a doorway target for carbine-centric shooters. The learning curve is short and satisfying. 7 Charles Daly Honcho Tactical Simple Pump, Serious Corner Control. Something is refreshing about a compact pump that just shows up and works. And the Honcho Tactical fits that bill, with a 14-inch barrel, a rubberized bird's head grip, and a trim profile. It's built for close-quarters defense without extra drama. The aluminum receiver keeps weight down while the steel barrel takes the beating as it should. The geometry here matters. The bird's head keeps your wrist in a sweet spot so the muzzle doesn't leap over your sight plane after the first shot. Think of a hallway that elbows 90 degrees. The Honcho lets you steer the muzzle through that bend without your elbows fighting the walls. You won't stack endless shells in it, and you won't feel fancy. You'll just get a repeatable pump, a clear sight reference, and a gun that feels obedient when the room gets small. If your priorities are control and compliance in tight quarters, this little pump says yes every time. 8 Nighthawk Tomahawk, an 870 that's been hand-tuned to purr. The Tomahawk starts life as a Remington. 870 pistol grip and leaves the shop as a different animal. Hand-honed rails and action smooth out the cycle so each pump feels like one clean stroke, while Van Comp backboring and porting work to flatten recoil and keep buckshot patterns more civilized. You get Hogue over-molded furniture that stays tacky when things get sweaty, and a side saddle that parks 4 extra shells exactly where your support hand expects them. The magic here isn't a single spec. It's the way the tolerance stack adds up to confidence. Cycle it briskly, and the gun returns to the exact same place, which means your eyes trust the sight picture sooner and your second shot lands sooner. If you appreciate premium fit and finish in a defensive tool, the Tomahawk delivers that high-end feel without losing the 870's industrial reliability. It's the shotgun equivalent of a well-tuned truck. Nothing flashy. Everything sorted and sure. 9. Serbu Super Shorty, the specialist dagger in 12 gauge. The Serbu Super Shorty is a legend because it commits to a specific job, With a 6.5-inch barrel and an overall length of around 16.5 inches, you're holding a 2+1 pump that lives where other guns can't. Many builds start from Mossberg 500 or Remington 870 roots, but the result is its own creature, legally an AOW in the U.S., which means paperwork and rules you must respect. In a tight room, the Super Shorty moves like a knife with a very loud handle, and the intimidation factor is real. But the physics are also real, with limited capacity, sharp recoil, and short sight radius. Run it with solid technique. Push the gun forward from the chest, drive the pump straight, and pick ammunition that won't bully you out of control. Used correctly, it's devastating at household distances. Used carelessly, it's just pain and noise. Know what it is. Respect the law, and it will do the job it was born to do. 10 Axer Arms FSS Mini Shotgun. Axer Arms FSS Mini is the oddball that earns a second look, a folding, semi-automatic 12-gauge built for briefcases and tight hallways. It runs a 14-inch barrel over a tubular magazine for 5 rounds, including one in the chamber, with a 3-inch chamber to accept common defensive loads. Controls are straightforward. Crossbolt safety at the rear of the trigger guard and a bolt release on the right side. And the cycle feels surprisingly clean for such a compact package. The synthetic handguard and pistol grip keep weight down and texture up, while a Picatinny rail lets you mount a white light or a dot, folded. The FSS Mini tucks out of the way, unfolded. It points naturally from a chest-level stance, trading length for speed through door frames. Think of it as a nimble, stashable tool, not a range marathoner, but a pragmatic problem solver with real 12-gauge authority at home defense distances. So it's not really hard to pick a compact shotgun. It's like picking a workflow for your home. If you want 2 answers on tap, the KSG and M&P 12 give you dual tubes and a calm, centered feel once you learn them. If you want lightweight, fast sighting, and fewer decisions, the KS7 rewards clean fundamentals. If your brain runs on carbine muscle memory, the VRF-14 lets you keep that pace with a 12-gauge voice. If you want steel frame predictability and a grip that plays nice with corners, the TAC-14 keeps the 870 spirit alive. If you want premium smoothness, the Tomahawk will make you smile every time you rack it. If you want brutal compactness and understand the limits, the Super Shorty is a specialist you must respect. And if you want a base you can build out, the 590 Shockwave is the old faithful of short scatter guns. Drop your setup in the comments, hit subscribe, and as always, hold 'em down.